We cannot make analysis without happening this week. Like we play Etihad Games United and Champions League, and on Thursday now today, and the team like is so powerful in all the aspects. It just heads off to the team how they're resilient. Of course, it's so difficult where you're not effective in high pressing and you're not effective in the build-up. Always is so tough and so difficult to do it. We make some transitions. I think the result is fair. It's a little bit we're close in the 5 results, but I think in general Arsenal was better. And the team was there, and we had better result than last season. I would say we had better result than last season against United.
Angry Bernardo Silva labels Arsenal game unfair and hits out at Man City disrespect. In fresh row, Manchester City midfielder Bernardo Silva did not hold back after their 1-1 draw with Arsenal at the condition they were expected to play. In Bernardo Silva hit out at the disrespect Manchester City were treated with at Arsenal on what he called a bad day for football. Gabriel Martinelli struck in injury time to earn a draw after Erling Haaland's early strike had looked like earning a big win for Pep Guardiola's side. But they couldn't hold on as Arsenal's substitutes again made their mark, leaving City frustrated at the unfair conditions they were made to play in. UEFA held the opening week of the Champions League across 3 nights last week, and the scheduling meant City hosted Napoli at 8 p.m. on Thursday, more than 50 hours after Arsenal had kicked off in Bilbao on Tuesday. Guardiola held his tongue when asked about the schedule, but Captain Silva did not after the 1-1 draw. I am saying this because we didn't lose. If we lost, I wouldn't say this, he said. But the reality is we cannot come to one of the most important games in the season with such a disadvantage in terms of rest. It is not fair to play one of these games like this. It is just not right. They had 5 days and we had 2.5 days. In one of the most important games, this cannot happen. I wasn't feeling in a perfect condition to play like this, and people who have not played at the highest level don't know how it feels to play a game like this. They don't listen to us. It is what it is. We would like to change something, but it never changes. It does not really matter. But for the fans, for the respect of the clubs, and for the fairness of the competition, I don't think what happened today was good. Silva's complaints will likely fall on deaf ears, not least because it would require multiple stakeholders in the game to cooperate, and at least one of them to compromise. City's trip to Arsenal had already been scheduled for Sunday by Premier League broadcasters when UEFA chose to put out the fixtures as they did in their marquee Champions League week. It is also a situation that has happened before. Arsenal had basically the reverse before playing at the Etihad last season, and teams who play in the Europa League will frequently play on Sundays after Thursday games. Silva's issue is not that the turnaround was tight, but that it was so clearly to the advantage of one team in what is one of the biggest fixtures in the Premier League calendar. The schedule is the schedule, and I understand you have different competitions, and UEFA, the Premier League, and the broadcasters want to make their money, and I understand all those sorts of things, he said. We don't mind playing every 3 or 4 days, and we don't mind playing 60 games because we are used to that. But what we ask for is common sense, because this is one of the biggest games of the season. And it is not because of us. I don't think that they are trying to make us lose a game. It could happen to Arsenal or Liverpool in a few months. But when you are playing an Arsenal versus City, or a City versus Liverpool, or Liverpool versus Arsenal, you need to have a bit of common sense, an understanding of these situations, and in such an important game, the players need to be in the same physical conditions. Otherwise, I don't think it is fair. I know it might have happened to other teams in the past. We can lose any game in good conditions or bad conditions, but we need the respect and the common sense to be at the same level to compete. Today, it did not feel like we were in the same physical condition as them. I felt the difference in the first half. If you play at the highest level, you know that 2 days playing against one of the best teams in the league, away, with the travel, you need at least 1 more day to recover. It doesn't matter if Arsenal had 4, 5 or 6 days to recover. Just give us 1 more day, and that gives us 3.5 days, and then you make it an even game. 2.5 days is not enough to recover our bodies and to perform at the highest level. It is just not enough. Arteta and Pep Guardiola will lock horns once again this weekend as second-placed Arsenal take on 8th-placed Manchester City in a battle for the ages. Arsenal will host Premier League rivals Manchester City at the Emirates Stadium on Sunday, with a lot already at stake for both teams. Pep Pep Guardiola's side haven't started off their campaign on the best foot, with 2 wins and 2 losses, placing them squarely mid-table alongside the likes of Sunderland, Crystal Palace and Newcastle. Meanwhile, Mikel Arteta is sitting in second place, a regular spot for the Gunners, after 3 wins and 1 loss places them within touching distance of league leaders Liverpool. The 2 rivals have had many battles over the years, with City edging Arsenal to the top-flight title on multiple occasions in the past. However, this year is different. Arteta is sitting 5 places above Guardiola, but a win for City would help them climb onto the same points total as the Gunners. The North London side are coming off of a comfortable 2-0 win in the Champions League, while City secured the same result against Napoli during Kevin De Bruyne's homecoming match to the Etihad Stadium on Thursday. Arsenal will kick off against Manchester City on Sunday, September 21st, 2025 at 4:30 p.m. The game will take place at the Gunners' home of the Emirates Stadium in North London. The blockbuster clash will be shown live on Sky Sports in the UK. The game will take precedence across 2 channels, on Sky Sports Main Event and Premier League. Now TV will also be showing live coverage of the game on their streaming service, with a day pass costing £14.99 for customers. Match highlights of Arsenal vs City will be available on the Sky Sports Premier League YouTube channel. Match of the Day will also show the best of the action from the game, alongside other Premier League fixtures from over the weekend. This will begin at 10:30 p.m. on BBC One on Sunday night. Arsenal are still sweating over the availability of Bukayo Saka, Ben White and captain Martin Odegaard, as they all missed the Champions League victory in midweek. Saka hasn't been in the matchday squad since limping off with a hamstring injury against Leeds United. Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz remain out of action for the Gunners, but William Saliba could be in contention to win the starting place back from Christian Mosquera after picking up an ankle issue against Liverpool earlier in the season. Meanwhile, City could have John Stones back on the park after he trained ahead of their 2-0 win over Napoli, but didn't make the squad. Rodri was withdrawn early against the Italians without any injury concern, meaning he will be fresh for the Arsenal trip. Ryan Cherki and Omar Marmoush are both unavailable alongside midfielder Mateo Kovacic, who is still out after undergoing surgery for a heel injury. Manchester City must solve UEFA fixture issue as Arsenal reality clear. Manchester City have lost 5 of their last 7 Premier League games on the back of Champions League matches. They will hope to reverse that trend at Arsenal on Sunday. In the end, Manchester City might have more to thank Napoli's Giovanni Di Lorenzo for than just making their midweek Champions League task a little easier. The Napoli skipper's first half red card at the Etihad on Thursday meant City played much of that tricky contest against 10 men, and once the Blues found the breakthrough early in the second half, the outcome was never in doubt. In the end, Pep Guardiola's side secured a 2-0 victory to ensure a winning start to their Champions League campaign. The nature of the contest also allowed Guardiola to make 5 substitutes. Rodri asked to come off on the hour, but Jeremy Doku was replaced 20 minutes from the end, while Erling Haaland, Tijani Reinders and Josko Gvardiol were afforded an extra 10 minutes rest. That helps, given the nature of this weekend's fixture against Arsenal and the scheduling differences the 2 sides have faced. Arsenal were in action on Tuesday night, away at Athletic Bilbao in an early 5:45 p.m. kickoff. City did not finish their contest with Napoli until around 10 p.m. on Thursday, with the Gunners match ending around 50 hours earlier. Even allowing for the travel time back from Spain, that offers Mikel Arteta's side an advantage that will no doubt irk Guardiola, even if he turned down the chance to talk about it in the lead-up to the contest. "Don't go for that side, it is not necessary," he said in his press conference. Regardless of Guardiola's diplomacy, the fact remains that City had just 2 clear days between sizable fixtures, allowing for little time to train or prepare. "We are going to go hiking in the mountains," joked Guardiola of the plan. In reality, City will have rested and recovered with a view to going again at the Emirates, with the chance to draw level with Arsenal on points in the Premier League table and cap a perfect week with 3 significant victories. To do so, they will have to buck a recent trend of struggles when it comes to league games on the back of European nights. City have been beaten in 5 of their last 7 fixtures immediately after a Champions League contest, including the 5-1 thrashing at Arsenal last season. The quality of opposition must be taken into account with that statistic, with 2 of those 5 defeats coming against Liverpool on top of the reverse to the Gunners. But it remains a trend that Guardiola will hope to prevent from continuing. 2 games in 72 hours will not help, but City's schedule for the remainder of the Champions League phase is kinder, unless they are thrown a curveball by the Premier League fixture makers on the back of a long trip north of the Arctic Circle to take on Bodo Glimt in January. As Guardiola surmised in February ahead of the European tie with Real Madrid, the schedule is what it is. The Blues boss will hope it doesn't cost his side in the capital on Sunday. Pep Guardiola sends clear title message to Manchester City players ahead of Arsenal, I know. Manchester City have had an indifferent start to the Premier League season, but could turn a corner against Arsenal this weekend. Pep Guardiola has challenged his new crop of Manchester City stars to prove they can be a machine like his previous title-winning sides. The Catalan has won 6 league titles at the Etihad, but City slumped to 3rd last season and have had an indifferent start to this campaign with 2 wins and 2 defeats domestically. There have been signs of promise this week with a 3-0 Manchester derby success followed by a 2-0 win against Napoli. They face a litmus test for their ambitions on Sunday with a trip to face Arsenal at the Emirates. City were beaten 5-1 in North London last season, with Guardiola blaming a disastrous spell when his team fell apart. He hopes those collapses are behind his new look side now, although they were criticised for turning victory into defeat at Brighton 3 weeks ago. The Blues boss knows consistency is the name of the game if they want to win another title. I know my team when it is consistent, he said. When you win 6 Premier Leagues, it is because you are a machine, the consistent team, and for that, you have to prove more. But of course, we arrive for the week against United, against Napoli, and now Arsenal. It is not an easy week. The feeling is important, the vibe of the team, and the body language especially. I am focused on that. The kindness of the team's body language has gone up. I am pretty pleased with that, and hopefully we can win or lose.